Womp, womp, womp.
I can't wait to edit in that sound effect. Yo, yo, yo. What is up, everyone? My name is Emilio, and this is my boy Christian.
What?
And this is Let's Roll Characters, the show where we roll characters for D&D 5th edition based on all sorts of different prompts and parameters, largely randomness, but other ones that we dream up or that can come from you, our fellow nerds.
That's right. We are here to bring you characters, fledgling DMs that we are. We are excited to explore and see what we can roll randomly with you guys today.
Okay, Christian.
Yes?
Let's not roll characters yet.
Oh!
We actually have some pretty exciting news today. Christian, give me the breakdown, please.
Yes! So, this episode will mark a bit of a departure from how we've been doing things here on Let's Roll Characters. And you can see the interview that we've put up prior to this video with Eugene Marshall, who's the creator of the Ancestry and Culture supplement for D&D 5e. And so we're going to go ahead and adopt this moving forward. And so what this means is that rather than race being this sort of essentialized kind of concept within the character creation that we do, where, you know, it determines who you are and what path you take and what kinds of sort of characteristics you have, we're going to use this Ancestry and Culture supplement to be able to take that apart so that Ancestry can come with sort of all the things that you would expect it would, whether it's sort of like height or dark vision or that kind of thing, whereas culture will actually come with some of the things that are not necessarily innate and that would reflect where you were raised and who was involved with your upbringing. And so you'll see as we're going through the character creation piece, especially around race, we're going to have two separate roles. One will be for Ancestry and the other will be for culture. And we think that this will be really sort of exciting and interesting and will create some really fascinating characters.
I am super excited about this. And I guess for those who don't know me, I am of a mixed ethnic background. My dad is from El Salvador. My mom is half Indian and half Turkish. I grew up in the United States, so kind of the idea of sort of picking a lane or a race really just never fit for me. Okay, Christian, are you ready to do this?
I am ready to do this, Emilio.
Okay, so let's roll characters.
Whoop whoop! Boom, 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 boom. Characters, gonna roll characters. So we're going to roll for Ancestry, Culture, Class, Background, and Gender. So give me a D10 for Ancestry.
Our first Ancestry roll. This is so exciting.
Yes!
For our first Ancestry roll, we have a 9.
Okay. Oh, Emilio, are you so excited? This is mixed ancestry.
Yes, this is the one I wanted.
Yeah.
I almost pushed for us to have more options for mixed ancestry in our rolling table, but I can't believe that we rolled it the first time up.
See, I told you statistics would help us out.
Oh man. Okay, so what this means then is that we're going to now roll 2 more times and pick 2 races to have a mixed background for this character. So I'm going to roll 2 more D10s.
Okay.
All right, first roll is a 3.
That is an elf.
And the second roll is a 2.
Half elf, half dwarf. Roll me a D10 for culture.
It's a 2.
Okay, well, this kind of will make storytelling a little easier on us this time around. So the culture is dwarf. Roll me a D12 for class.
That is a 6.
A monk!
Whoa.
This will be our first monk. I'm excited.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Okay, now roll me a D20 for background.
A 14.
A sage. Give me a D4 for gender.
A 2.
A female.
What are your initial thoughts for this character?
Boy. Well, you know, of course, the first thing that I'm curious about is what brought this elf and dwarf to get together, and what were the circumstances that led to this half elf, half dwarf staying with the dwarvish side of their heritage, of their ancestry, and growing up among that culture. And then I'm thinking about monk and sage. I think that those two probably go pretty well together. This is somebody who was studying to become a monk, I think, in their background. So I think that probably from a young age, they knew that this was the direction that they were going to take. So I'm thinking maybe about some sort of dwarven monastery. Maybe an adoption, I'm not quite sure. Or maybe a dwarvish monk who got busy and maybe wasn't supposed to, but decided to take the child in, or maybe the child was left on the doorstep of the monastery or something like that. These are the first things that kind of come to mind for me. What about you?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I was going a little bit of a different direction and imagining kind of just like a happy family, an elf that happened to move into dwarven society, and that kid ended up, wanting to just really study. I guess I don't know what monks study.
Interesting. I hadn't thought that the elf parent would join sort of dwarvish culture, but I actually really like that idea. So I think we should definitely kind of play with that.
All right. Well, maybe, figuring out what this character is good at will help us to get some more ideas around, how their background fits. So let's roll some ability scores. Now,
yes.
Christian and I have our little competition here. We roll alternating rolls each week, and we tally up to see who rolls the highest. Christian has been talking a lot of trash, and I think I'm going to let him keep talking because so far that's been working out for me.
Yes, we have. You are up by 1 here, Emilio. It is currently 3-2. But I think that tonight is the night when I bring us back to love, and I think it's gonna happen. So why don't you roll for strength there, Bubba?
Here we go. I am rolling 4d6, dropping the lowest. Strength roll. This is a strong half elf, half dwarf with a 15.
Ooh, okay, off to a good start. All right, here comes my dexterity roll. Oh, well, Emilio, I have 17.
No way.
Extremely dexterous. I rolled 2 6s and a 5.
Wow. All right. Well, I'm going to have some ground to make up here. Let's see how their constitution is. Oh, we are just rolling gangbusters tonight. That's a 14.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, I think I'm bound to falter here, so let's see what we got. Intelligence. Oh, no. Womp, womp, womp. 9.
All right. Let's see a wisdom roll. Yeah, Christian, you're going down. That's a 14 again.
Oh, man. Okay. All right. This is for all the marbles. I'm not sure that I can actually win, but here we go. 3 6s, charisma. It's going to be 12.
No, not bad, though.
No, not bad. Just not a win. I don't need your pity, Flores.
Well, you have it. It's actually pretty close. We both had pretty great rolls. This is an extremely powerful character, but I did come out ahead. Christian has a 38 and I have a 43.
Oh, man. Wow. Those are 2 really high numbers, though.
Yeah, no kidding. The Ancestry and Culture system does specifically have ways to play around with mixed ancestry traits. So you actually get to choose from some of the different options. So you could pick traits from either the elf side of things or from the dwarven ancestry.
Why don't we take a look at the class and take a look at proficiencies and characteristics and that sort of thing? The thing with Monk at level 1, there aren't a whole lot of options, but we do want to take a look at additional proficiencies, and the Monk will get 2. And we already have some from the culture, so that is our +2 in Constitution, as well as our +1 in Wisdom. And we also have 2 proficiencies from the Sage background, which are Arcana and History. And so for the Monk class, we have options in Acrobatics, Athletics, Insight, religion, and stealth.
You know, this character has so many different skills. Their ability scores are just off the charts in so many ways. At first I was thinking, well, they're a sage, they're kind of a bookworm, so let's give them some religion and insight. But their dexterity is super high as well, and acrobatics could make a ton of sense. Stealth could make a ton of sense. I like the idea of maybe mixing those two. I really was liking religion. I think that makes sense for a monk sage. They would have been studying religion. And maybe acrobatics. Maybe they're just super nimble and able to do acrobatics.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's legit. It's a freaking monk, so acrobatics are definitely going to be on the menu. And I think religion makes a lot of sense, although we, might want to decide if we're thinking a religious character or not. It could be somebody who is more sort of geared toward stealth because they've got all this dark vision and stuff. Let's definitely say acrobatics. I think that's awesome. And then, boy...
Actually, let's do insight.
Okay.
We rolled a character with religion previously. We've talked about that a bit. I think insight is wisdom based. This character has 14, now 15 wisdom with the bonus. They are going to be able to read people, and maybe that's a real, big aspect of their character, that they can kind of see through people and understand them just, from a couple minutes of talking.
I think that's really cool. Let's go ahead and do insight. You're just like talking to a friend and just having a chit chat, and then suddenly this dwarf-elf monk comes running along the wall, flips down in front of you, and is like, "Are you feeling sad?" We've got a number of things that we're sort of working out here. So who is this dwarf-elf? What is her story?
I kind of wish I didn't have to go first for this section. I like the idea that they were raised with, a happy family with two parents in the home, one elf, one dwarf, and that they chose this path as a monk for some reason.
Yeah, I'm really trying to sort of piece together, especially if they came from this really loving home, what made them want to then take on this sort of life as a sage and dedicate themselves to this monastic lifestyle. What was it that changed that sent her to do this thing, to turn her back, I would say, right, on her family? Because it is like, it's a hermetic kind of life. Did something happen to her family that led her to go toward the monastery? I mean, I want the idea of a happy family, a happy sort of, mixed ancestry family. I think that's really great. And I think that there's this other part of it, which is that, there can be a really sort of strong prejudice within a dwarven society for a child who is half elf.
Okay, let me tell a little story here. I don't know how this is going to go.
This is great.
Okay, in the dwarven city of blah blah blah, there is a small elf community.
Okay.
They are able to live there, fairly comfortably, but they're not well off. The dwarves have all the power, they have all the wealth. So unlike most places where elves are thriving, this is maybe an elf slum of some kind. In this slum, a child was born to an elf mother.
Okay.
With an unknown dwarven father. They were then raised by their mother in this community, taught to study, taught that the way to get out of this life was through knowledge and wisdom. Something happens in this community. The dwarven nobles decide that they've had enough. They kind of bring the hammer down. They enforce some new rule. And the only way for this child, who is still a dwarf, at least partially, to be safe was for them to be taken to the monastery.
Oh boy, there are these like pogroms in the little elven community. Oh, it's so sad. Oh God. I think we should do it though. I think that's the deal. Maybe these elves are there, maybe there was some history of these elves being merchants and sort of, setting up shop in this dwarven community. And then over time, there was resentment that formed and they were marginalized. And this is maybe sort of the last gasp of that community, was this pairing. And this dwarf elf's mother was like, okay, we got to get you to somewhere safe in the midst of all this chaos. And so maybe as a small girl, she was delivered unto the monastery.
Yeah, I mean, it's feeling a little bit like a story from Nazi Germany, which maybe is fine, but yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah, I think we're doing Nazi dwarves. Actually, I was thinking more sort of like, the Russian persecution of Jews. I was thinking a different flavor of Jewish persecution.
Yeah, right.
There's so many ways to persecute, and for our audience to know, I am, of Jewish ancestry. So many ways to persecute Jews, whether it's the Catholics, forcing them out of Spain, or the Russians, pushing them around, or, just, your classic sort of Nazi persecution of Jews. That's so many ways. Boy, when we when we do the ancestry and culture thing here, it really opens up some sad doors.
I was just going to say that.
Oh God.
Is this going to happen every week? I don't think I have enough tissues.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting. I mean, I think that shows just the extremely thin layer that separates sort of fantasy role-playing from real life sort of, perspectives and issues. And I think that, when we break it down, we see just how close to the surface this stuff is. So I actually think that this is really kind of instructive, and it demonstrates the point, basically.
We have mixed up a lot of things here. And I think we're coming out with something really interesting. So let's really bring this character to life with their background traits. So we're going to start with personality traits and an ideal.
Yeah, so for personality traits, we've got two good ones here. The first one that really comes to mind is I'm willing to listen to every side of an argument before I make my own judgment. The idea here is that she grew up in this multicultural background and she was taught to sort of value perspectives and ideas, and that was what her mother sort of really instilled in her. And so this is something that is kind of at the core of who she is. And then for the second personality trait, we have I'm convinced that people are always trying to steal my secrets. And we're going to change that a little bit, so it's my secret possessions. And so growing up in sort of a slum or impoverished sort of situation, she, has to be careful about her things and people taking her things. And so this is kind of a throwback to her upbringing in not a necessarily safe sort of circumstance. Then for the ideal, this is again something that she got from her mother, which is self-improvement, and that's the goal of study, is the betterment of oneself. And so, yeah, this is why she entered the monastery, was to become somebody who's enlightened, to become somebody who can kind of rise above her circumstances. And so the self-improvement piece is totally part of what she aims for.
We have some pretty interesting options for bond and flaw, and we've decided to go with I've been searching my whole life for the answer to a certain question, and the question that she has is, who's her dad? She has been looking for her parentage for basically her whole life. For her flaw, it's very connected to that. We decided to go with, I'm easily distracted by the promise of information, and this would be, of course, information specifically about her parentage and who her dad is.
At this point, we would be coming to two different things here, which would be the alignment and the name. But, as we've been doing these episodes, we found that the alignment piece is really pretty inconsequential to what we're doing here. So from this point out, we're just going to skip it. You get a sense of who this character is from their story and their background. And so you can decide how you want to play that in your own game. But we're just going to be done with that. And Amelia, let's go to the name. What are you thinking?
Let's go with a name that has some elvish roots. I think they've got to have an elvish name, even though they live in a dwarven city. I want it to be something that sounds soft, but with some kind of an edge to it.
And let's keep in mind, so she did grow up in the dwarven culture, but it's the name that her mother gave her that is elvish. Something soft with an edge, which I like that idea.
I'm thinking of this Shia sound because in one of the games that I play, one of the characters is named Shah, and I've got his initiative card here in front of me. So I keep staring at this name Shah. Cheyenne.
Cheyenne? Let's make it not so it's like the place or the people. Shiar? Shayat?
Shia LaBeouf.
I mean, Shia is cool. I like Shia.
I do too.
Okay, let's go with Shia.
Okay.
Okay, Shia, and then last name. Now, she could have adopted a name also when she was brought into the monastery.
Maybe the monastery has a rule about last names, actually.
Okay, like they have to be dwarvish or something, or they have a particular convention.
Yeah, exactly. You have to give up, this part of yourself, your last name. So the dwarven god is Moradin.
Okay.
And I'm thinking kind of now of the Norse sounding names where it's like Thor's daughter.
Yeah, why not Moradinsdaughter?
Shia Moradinsdaughter. All one word, Moradinsdaughter.
Yeah.
I can work with that.
Let's do it. Moradinsdaughter. Shia Moradinsdaughter.
Yeah, okay, actually
Okay.
that works really well.
Yeah, all right. Shia Moradinsdaughter is a half elf, half dwarf who grew up among her mother's elven people in kind of a slum within a dwarven society. She never knew her dwarvish father, and she was raised in this really pretty impoverished setting where her mother taught her that in order to become a sort of person in society and be able to make her way, she needed to work on herself and develop herself. And she really took this message to heart, especially after the persecutions by the sort of surrounding dwarvish culture, which really broke up the slums. And as a result of that, she had to take refuge in a monastery, a dwarven monastery, where she decided that she was going to really dedicate herself to self-improvement, as well as trying to find out just who her dwarven father is. And so when we meet Shia Moradinsdaughter, she is working toward that end, growing herself, learning to be a better person, and really aiming and gearing up to solve this mystery of who she is and where she comes from.
Christian, do we have our character?
Yeah, we do, Emilio. And so now do you guys. You can bring Shia Moradinsdaughter into your game by clicking the link below for the PDF.
Absolutely. And if you are enjoying Let's Roll Characters, give us a like, subscribe to the channel so you can stay updated on what we're doing. And please leave a comment on the type of character that you'd like to see. We are bringing to life characters that fans suggest in the comments. So please let us know what you'd like us to work on. And also, check the description. There's going to be a link to the Ancestry and Culture system developed by Eugene Marshall with Arcanist Press. So definitely check that out. It's a really awesome system, and we are having a lot of fun using it.
Yeah, and thanks for watching.
All right, go play some D&D.
Boom, 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 boom. Characters.
I just like to be different, Christian.
We are different. And she was working on that as these horrible sort of womp, womp, womp.